Hello there, how are you doing? I actually haven't made one of these videos in quite a while, and you should be growing your content. That's what I was told on YouTube. I should be doing one every week, but honestly, I don't have the time. I do appreciate over 400 people who have subscribed to my channel. And, when I look at the stats sometimes on YouTube to see how the channel's doing, there's a lot of interaction and a lot of people watching the videos and enjoying the content that I put up. I don't have a production team working with me. I'm not very good on computers in terms of I'm not tech savvy, as some of you probably are, so I don't have these wonderful videos. In fact, I'm broadcasting from my car today. I wanted to talk to you about the Trevor Deely case. Trevor Deely missing presumed. Trevor Deely was a young man in his 20s. He worked in Bank of Ireland. He was from Nason County, Kildare, and in the year 2000, just leading up to Christmas, he went missing after his Christmas party at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. It was quite bizarre. I remember it very well. It was a case that, even before I got involved in an interest in kind of crime and trying to solve crimes, I remember being in my office because I worked for a company called the Independent Directory. If anyone lives in Dublin or Ireland, they'll know the little blue book that used to have the bus timetables in the back and the coupons. It was a great place to work. Really enjoyed it. We had really nice management and the staff were fantastic. So I have great memories from there. One of the reasons why I remember Trevor so well was because he worked in the Bank of Ireland and I would have worked in AIB. Now, I wasn't working for AIB, but we were in their building. We were renting out an office on the fourth floor. And so I probably crossed paths with Trevor around that time, not realizing that we were actually working very close. I do know he was there in the year 2000. That's when he went missing in December and Christmas that year. I just can't remember. I'd have to go through my paperwork that I have that I kept from those days. I have a little bit of it. I'm not sure if we moved from there in 1999 or 2000, but it was certainly around that time. And we eventually moved out to City West in County Dublin. But great memories of being in that area. And when I actually used to come out of my office on Percy Place, there was a pub across the road called Smith's, and it's still there. I think it's probably just open now since the COVID restrictions have lifted, but it'll probably close again because the case numbers are going up. That's another story for another day. Let's keep it focused on Trevor. So Trevor was known to be out at the Christmas party. He was there with his friends. He left a little bit earlier than them, and I think he left it was Buck Whaley's he left, which was a pub on Leeson Street. He left at about 3 o'clock in the morning and then headed back to his office, stayed there for about 25 minutes, and at about 25 past 3, he grabbed his umbrella and then left. And he was then seen when he came to the gate initially to get into the office of the bank. There was a man, a dark figure, a man in black hat, black coat. Everything was, well, it was dark. It'd been and the CCTV from 21 years ago. It was very grainy. You'd be better off having no CCTV. That's how much use that was. The clip is very poor, and you can go online and actually have a look at it. It's very hard to make out who that person is, but that person never came forward, and he was just hanging around there, almost like he was waiting for Trevor to turn up. That's the kind of feeling I got from it. And he's there for about half an hour waiting, and then Trevor turns up. And he talks to Trevor, but Trevor, his body language looks like he just wants to get away from this man, and he's looking for the lock in it where the key can put the key and all that sort of stuff to open up the gate. There's probably a pin number on it. I don't know if it was a key or a pin. But that man was talking to him, and then Trevor went in for 25 minutes, had a chat with his friend Carl Pender, and had a cup of tea, got his umbrella and came back out. It was lashing rain that night. It was a storm in Dublin. The weather was not good. And it was a Thursday night. And Trevor went back out to the gate and that man reappeared again. Yeah, so he didn't leave. So he wasn't a homeless guy. Well, certainly didn't seem that way. He kind of left and then was sort of hanging around that area still. And then he followed Trevor. Trevor walked down the street. And you can see the man about 20 seconds on other CCTV footage right behind him on Haddington Road. And I don't know whether Trevor, when he walked down Haddington Road, turned left onto Percy Place or walked straight down. If he turned left onto Percy Place, there's no lights on that area at all. It's very dark at night. I'd feel very nervous. There's some restaurants there at the moment and you got Smith's Pub there. But certainly if you walk down Percy Place and you're heading towards the canal onto, if I'm not mistaken, Clan William Street, I think, could be that. And then you're onto Mount Street and all that area. So Trevor must have walked in and around that area. Now, there's a lot of prostitutes and pimps in that area. And I remember coming out with my former boss into his car. We'd be sitting there in his BMW on a Friday night, having had a great week of sales. And he'd say, "Who's heading down to Annabelle's in the Burlington Hotel? Who's heading down to Annabelle's?" And we'd go down to Annabelle's, and you're young, having a bit of fun. And we'd go down and have a great night, party away on a Friday night, not having to worry about getting up on a Saturday or anything like that. It was great. It was great times. But we would be accosted, sitting in the car. Ladies of the night would come up and knock on the window. And my boss at the time would just, roll down the window and says, "Not tonight, love." Joking, well, I think he was anyway. And he just wind his window back up. But, so that kind of stuff was going on. Also, around that time, cocaine was rampant. I mean, I remember seeing guys coming out of the toilets. You'd be out on a night out, they'd have powder on their noses and all that stuff on the top of their lips and stuff. I mean, cocaine was used, and I was naive. It was only till I was a bit older I started to realize, oh yeah, that's probably what they were taking and stuff. I wasn't taking drugs or anything like that. The alcohol and the booze was enough for me. But they were doing it, and that was the way it was. And in offices and places like that, people would regularly take that stuff, and they'd be the soul, life and soul of the party. So you have to think. My gut feeling, and I don't have evidence or proof. I'm only going by what I see in the CCTV footage. I really do think that Trevor knew that guy who was at the gate. Now, he knew him either through somebody else, he was an acquaintance of somebody else, and I think that guy was looking for something off Trevor. Now, either Trevor owed him for something, or was supposed to pay him for something, or I just have that feeling. I don't believe he was a homeless man. I don't believe it was just a robbery. He was just chasing him to rob him. Because if it was a mugging or something like that, someone would have seen something. There was a taxi strike, but there were people driving around that area at night. And a lot of people would be walking around there. And even the prostitutes and the pimps, they would see something. So if he was to be mugged, a body would turn up, or if he'd be stabbed or whatever. And he had €60 on him, or £60 at the time. I don't think we'd switched to the euro at that time, so we were using the Irish currency at that time, which was the punt, and he had 60 punts on him. So I actually think Trevor knew the guy. And I think that when he was at the gate waiting for Trevor, he would have said to Trevor, and I'm only using hypothetical theories. So he probably said, "Yeah, Tommy's looking for that stuff. You know what I mean? Tommy's looking for that. When are you going to give it to him?" And Trevor said, "Look, I don't have it. Just go away. Just leave me alone." And if you're dealing with guys like that, they don't back off. They're crooks, they're criminals, and he probably walked after him to follow him. And how do we know there wasn't two men following Trevor? I mean, it may not have been just the one man, because the CCTV footage is very poor. So it could have been two men, and he could have been accosted then pushed into a back of a car, taken away somewhere. That's probably what happened. And I've been following a lot of these cases over the years, and I've been thinking about, he went to Alaska to meet a girl, and the girl didn't want to meet him. This was a few days or a week before he disappeared, and the girl didn't want him. So something may have happened in Alaska. A disgruntled boyfriend of that woman who he followed out. I don't know, but I don't think they would have come all the way over from Alaska and done him in. There's definitely criminal activity involved here, and some crook had him knocked off. That's what it has to be. That, and you can't think of anything else, because we hear of stories, people pushed into the back of a car, driven up to the mountains, and then buried. And we have to consider that's the case. This is pure speculation. I'm only going on gut feeling. I'm going from what I've seen in the CCTV footage and knowing what Dublin was like back then. Remember, Veronica Guerin was murdered a couple of years before that, coming back from a court in Naas. And, we had a lot of criminal gangs going around like we do now, but they were in and around Dublin at that time. And who knows, Trevor might have got himself into something he couldn't get out of. You don't know. People do things and they keep secrets and no one knows about them. They may not use their phone or their emails to contact these people, may meet them in the street. But that guy that walked after Trevor, even when Trevor's walking down Haddington Road, maybe onto Percy Place, he did follow him. And so he has to be responsible for the disappearance of Trevor, either for an acquaintance or somebody. somebody he knew. So I do believe Trevor knew that person. Maybe not as well as we thought, but he that guy was coming on behalf of someone else. It has to be thought of for that reason. So I hope you've enjoyed watching my video. If you have any comments, please put them down in the comment section, and subscribe to my channel, and I'll certainly reply. And be nice, leave nice comments. Anyone who says nasty things or libelous things gets blocked. Thank you.